If you have battled your nervous system and sometimes you feel like it gets the best of you, whether it is around current triggers or past trauma, I am so glad you are joining us here today. Welcome everyone to the Akashic Academy, where I have a very special guest sitting across from me here. Now, I know this woman lovingly as Gracie Van Goosey, which is a nickname I gave her early on in our relationship. But I'm so excited to share Grace Van Bodhi, the amazing acupuncturist, medicine woman, wisdom keeper, wife of Kai Van Bodhi, who we just spent time with a couple of weeks ago, and mother to a sweet little boy here on the planet, one of two young souls on the planet who has come into this earthly realm with his Akashic records open. And I'm so excited to introduce Grace to you all here today and talk about the crystal keys, which is a protocol and methodology that has come to this planet uniquely through Grace. It has helped her shift trauma in her life. She's helped Kai with it, and her numbers and growing numbers of clients. And I'm excited that we get to learn all about the crystal keys today. Grace, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm grateful to be here.
I'm just super excited about what we're going to get to lean in today. I want to ask everybody out there to participate with us in this conversation. Let us know who you are and where you are tuning in from. There's Patty. Let us know where you're tuning in from as well, because I always like to bring awareness to the grids and invite you to imagine these pinpoints of light illuminating all over our planet as we begin to create a potent connection with one another, where the knowledge begins to circulate not only through the beings that are here watching live and on the replay, but this intelligence then becomes available for the entire planet. And when we begin to really work on our nervous system, which I think is a core problem for so many of us, we are going to move into a higher state of freedom when we are no longer a slave to our automatic responses that are happening. So before we dive in and talk about the crystal keys, Grace, share with us a little bit about you personally and who you are, how you came to this work. I think that would be an awesome place to start.
Yeah. Well, I am a fourth generation acupuncturist. And I feel like with that comes this level of innate wanting to innovate. And
Yes.
through my years of study and with my clinical experience of acupuncture, I've just seen it's been over 10 years now of seeing these same blocks coming up in people, and having my own work to do around my own traumas. And I've gathered so many tools that that all of a sudden it came to me under with the Akashic records too, to develop this system to help people that don't really have access to acupuncture, and some people don't want acupuncture, and sometimes it's just necessary to have tools to elongate the ability to keep these channels and the body clear of these blocks. And I'm located in Lake Arrowhead, California. It's like a little mountain town, not so little mountain town, in Southern California. We have snow outside, which is lovely. You might hear my dog barking. I got a little husky and a cat and 2 kids, a 6-year-old, and a son with my husband. He's 18 months old. So I have a clinical practice here in Lake Arrowhead, and I specialize in facial rejuvenation with acupuncture. And over the years, I've also just been really deeply passionate about women's health, women's empowerment, women's wisdom and knowledge that I feel like is not accessible to us as well. So that's a big part of my dharma in the world as well.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you said so
Yeah.
many things that lit
I
me up. First of all, let's hear it for the mamas
yeah.
who are the wisdom keepers and constantly reinventing ourselves and putting new methodology to the wisdom. I love that you have 4 generations in this lifetime of your wisdom around acupuncture. Of course, I love, and this is something that we can talk about a little bit more, but I really am excited to get into the crystal keys. But it's so cool that as we were working together in your Akashic records, this idea on how to innovate, which is innately within you, carried within your DNA, began to illuminate. And I share often that I love working with the visionaries and thought leaders of the planet to innovate medicine, technology, our families, the paradigms in our families, how we educate our kids, how we exchange money and currency. And I feel like a lot of times it's just words. It doesn't really have a concrete story behind it. But when you come on and you talk about the crystal keys, this is unique wisdom that has come through you in the space of your Akashic records. It gives context to that idea that the records help us to tap into higher levels of genius and creativity. And I also want to say that it's when we work in the Akashic records to call forward innovation and genius, it's not like just bam, it hits you out of nowhere. It's there's connecting of the dots. And the other thing that you said that I loved so much, Grace, and I really resonated with this, was the idea that you notice patterns in the trauma, that the clients that come to you and yourself, there are patterns. We've all got the same basic patterns of the areas where we get stuck. I notice that too when I'm working with clients, is that I will have a cycle of 3 or 4 clients that come to me, and there's a thread of similarity in all of them. Not the exact same, but there's a thread in there of a trauma imprint that they have that's alike. And even though they don't know each other, I do feel like their souls are working collectively, like that grid point that we've talked about, how we illuminate that all of these souls are working collectively to move the trauma. I'm curious, what are some of the traumas that you noticed in people that felt like a recurring pattern?
It's interesting because I see that too when I'm like treating someone, treating multiple patients in the day, and they all have the same block. And then I sit there and I'm like, let me check my pulses. Do I have that same block? Because we're all a hologram, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
yeah, some of the, yeah, all of these blocks are very just akin to humanity. And I've seen a very common one I call the kidney pericardium block, where the kidney channel flows up and meets the pericardium, which is the heart protector, the sheath around the heart. And then it meets with the pericardium channel, which flows down the arm like this. And my metaphysical understanding of this block is people who have poor boundaries in relationship, and especially in relationship with their hearts, where either the heart is too open, where we see sometimes, or where we see more of the case is that the heart is shut down. And in our medicine, we say that the pericardium is like the bodyguard to
Yeah.
the heart, which is in our system the empress. I like to call it empress, the emperor, empress of all the major organ systems. So it's the empress, it's where our spirit, our Shen resides, and the pericardium is literally the protector of the heart. So sometimes with the dysfunction of the pericardium and this block, it's either the bodyguard is down and lets everyone in, or the bodyguard is hyper vigilant and will let nothing in. And we see this so much, and that's why, like, all the exercises, all of the deeper work to work on opening the heart, to breaking down those walls, are just so needed. And I see this a lot in clients and people. And I felt thousands of pulses, and every person I felt, I mean, you're coming to me super acupuncture, something
Yeah,
is
something's off.
imbalanced. There's a block. There 100% of time there's a block. And even if I feel the pulse and it's even, I don't feel a pulse, I'll ask you, where in your life do you feel a block? Think about it. And then the block arises within the pulse. And
Uh-huh.
one of the coolest things that I've seen in this work is I asked my client to feel where she's most blocked in her life, and she said her relationship with her mother. And I felt the kidney pericardium block of the boundaries of the heart. So I clear it, asking her to think about her mother, to think about the experiences with her mother, and to think about what's ideal with her mom. And she comes back, we clear the block. She comes back and she tells me that she had a conversation with her mom, and it was unlike anything she's ever had. It was more open. They communicated really deeply, and she's never experienced anything like that. And I just thought that was so cool and indicative of the blocks we have in life, and how it's not just internal, it manifests in
Yeah.
our external relationships and environment as well.
Well, I had no idea that it was in the pulse. I was totally feeling my pulse as you were saying that. But where I did most 100% feel it, when you were talking about that heart bodyguard and that empress, I was hearing the term heart wall and feeling just floods of energy, like somebody turned on a lightning rod inside of me, my
Mm.
clairsentience. I'm like, okay, I guess I got one of those. And it makes sense because I'm working through a major shift in relationship at home with my kid's dad and the kids, and what that looks like in our lives. And it's really challenging. And so I'm like, okay, yep, I'm excited to get more into what we get to talk about today. How many of you out there, I'm wondering, are feeling something similar within your body, your awareness, perhaps your pulse? And I would love to know, do you feel like your bodyguard, your heart bodyguard, is extremely vigilant and not letting anyone in? Or perhaps you're on the flip side where there are no boundaries and you're letting everyone in? Just let us know in the comments. That will really help to begin to activate a flow of higher intelligence, innate intelligence in here to work with all of us as we get to learn more about the crystal keys. So, in seeing these traumas that were coming up in patients and knowing that not everybody had access to come to acupuncture and come see you in that way, you talk that you begin to develop a new kind of intelligence and this desire to innovate what your soul is here, the medicine that your soul is here to bring to the planet, and figure out other ways that you can share it. So tell us more about like what's next in your story. Is this where the crystal keys started showing up, or how did you start putting the pieces together? I know that the Akashic records opened your awareness, but what did it look
Mm-hmm.
like?
Um, yeah, I think at first it was like my teacher cleared these blocks on me throughout all 4 years of medical school. And it was so profound for me that I had to learn it. And it's a very specialized niche in this field. And so there's that part, my own physical need to have my blocks cleared, and understanding what it feels like to be free and easy, and my chi is flowing correctly. And then there's the parts that throughout my own life, with my own situation, with my own ex and co-parent, and different traumas, intergenerational trauma, being a single mom, that I really had to seek out my own help. And I mean, that's part of the reason why, like, you are in my life as a beautiful guide and mentor, and space holder. And so is my therapist and other practitioners that after years of therapy and after years of subtle energy work, my understanding of tapping became very profound and experiential. That like it, studies are now coming out to prove that tapping before and after before changes gene expressions, turn down regulates genes that that cause inflammation, and then upregulates genes that increases immunity. And then with my own work around affirmations, breath work, fascial opening and stretching, like all of those, it wasn't just a one-off that got me to this point where my nervous system is finally regulated. It was actively working and consciously aware that my nervous system is so triggered by these outside responses that I felt like a prisoner to them. And I felt like a prisoner to this situation, to this relationship, this very karmic relationship that I had that goes beyond this lifetime and into my ancestral lineage, that the hold of that karma and that those triggers was so intense that it left me in a place of being in and out of depression, so triggered that that I couldn't see myself properly, and I couldn't see these idiosyncrasies that were like ruling my life. So it's funny because I think when we're working on creating these systems for my business and my life's work around emotional alchemy and women's health and moon mapping. And then as I was opening up the Akashic records and working with that, I was, channeling my program. Then there was this other part of me that was like, wait, this is part of the tools for this program. It's very necessary. Like, just start working on this. And like literally within like 20-30 minutes, it was just like this and this block. We'll just call it this. And then needs this breath work. It needs this affirmation. This is the esoteric intention. This is the fascial stretching. This is the anchoring aspect. And it was so easy and effortless that that I'm just a firm believer in attuning into the higher consciousness of the Akashic records of the universe, that things don't have to be so challenging. And I think that's what you teach, right? That like we don't have to do everything ourselves. We can have the mentors, we can have the divine intelligence to guide us, that we don't have to struggle so dang hard. And so these tools that were downloaded, I feel very grateful for. And I feel also very grateful for my husband to really like have faith in this. And he was my guinea pig in a lot of it. I would feel his pulse. I would lead him through the session, the tapping, the breath work, and then I would feel his pulse afterwards, and then it would clear. And then I developed in a questionnaire, or like a system of questions: physical ailments, mental thinking, what are your emotions behind it, that you don't have to feel your pulse. I don't have to feel your pulse to know that these blocks are here. And then even if you don't know it, there's a master protocol, a flow that I to go into today to move us through, to ensure that we just can do the work that we can do to ensure that we're not walking triggers, which I feel like most of us are. And it's not our fault. We're not taught to check in with our nervous system. We're not taught to understand when we're triggered. We're not taught that what our go-to is. It a fight response? Is it a flight response? Is it a freeze response like me? Like, we're not taught these things unless you actively seek them. So
this is a great example too of new paradigms that we get to bring into how we educate ourselves and our children. It's really important that we begin to understand how this mechanism works, and we spend more time figuring out how this mechanism works rather than this amazing piece of technology that we have. And so unfortunately we become a slave to the triggers and just the constant response that's happening within us where it feels so out of control. And when you were talking about just noticing that you felt like a slave to all the circumstances and the relationship, and in my mind, I was visualizing being in a war-torn country where you can't go out and go to the grocery store without the safety and security of not being bombed. You just constantly feel this PTSD in your nervous system that doesn't allow you to relax. And I also love how you gave beautiful and vulnerable vocabulary to I couldn't see myself properly and see the truth of who I was. So how awesome that you were able to create medicine that not only is helping you, but you're able to help others with it. And I would remember getting messages from Kai being like, holy crap, the crystal keys are they totally work. Like, this is amazing. It's like she had to prove it to me and work, but holy cow, they work. So I'm so excited that we get to experience a little something something today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm grateful that your work with me through the Kosh and having such a husband that's open-minded and want like he's such a sponge for all the things,
Yeah.
right? The
He's game
tools
for some
and
alchemy and some quantum magic, that's for sure. And
yeah.
how lucky you're all of us out here. Thank you for being who you are, being the medicine woman that you are, and being present to your own challenges and traumas. I think that's the only way that we can initiate to create medicine and to innovate is we've got to use it on ourselves first. So if you're ready and to take us through something, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I hope I'm not drooling here. I'm so excited for this.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm happy to. Just wanted to see if there's serious energetic spiritual truth. Myself
Yes,
asking, oh, I'm doing a serious. Oh, a massive blockage. Okay, nice. Okay. Um. All right. Well, first thing that I feel like is so important that is like just so overlooked and sometimes frankly scary because of our trauma and of that it's scary for people to do, but I feel like this is like such an important step in healing and awakening and in consciousness is just to check in with yourself,
okay.
having that intrinsic awareness. So if you guys want to just take a deep breath, maybe place your hands on your heart, on your womb or your low abdomen, and just take some deep breaths into that lower hand. Feel your breath. Do you feel like it's tight? Can you breathe all the way down to your low abdomen? Is it relatively easy for you to do so? Or does it feel strained? When you follow that breath down to your low abdomen, do you feel tightness anywhere? Do you feel tightness in your chest? Do you feel tightness in your rib cage? Or maybe your stomach? Or does it feel pretty free flowing? And then going up to your head, do you feel any tightness, congestion, cloudiness? Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? Check around your ears, where your ears meet your head. Check behind your eyes. Just notice any sensations going on in there. And so I'm going to go through and just keep those just on the back burner, those memories. I'm going to go through the master flow that I created. And it's always a work in progress as well. But first, we're going to start with a series of breath work, and then a series of tapping, and then a fascial opening. I am at this point not going to have you speak the affirmations because it's a lot and it's kind of like, that trick. Um, the tapping and the rubbing at the same time. And so we're going to go 3 out of 4, but I will send some cues for each system, some cues to just see your awareness expand, and some thoughts to just anchor in, some positive, empowering thoughts to anchor into each of these systems as well. So we'll start with the breath. And the breath starts with the Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. So if you want to just take your thumb, close your one nostril, breathing in, let's say close your right nostril, breathe in through the left, and then close your left nostril, breathe out through the right. Breathing in through the right, inhale, close the right, exhale the left. In through the left, and out through the right. And keep going with this for a few more seconds and visualizing just your mind clearing with every exhale. If you don't have the mechanism down, it's okay. Just visualizing the inhale, breathing in clear energy, clear breath, mixing it around in that head of yours, and then exhaling it all out. Okay. And then you can finish your last round. Then we're going to go into my husband's MBA breath. Did you guys do that on your call last couple weeks ago? Okay. So he created this breath called mind-body alignment. And essentially, with an inhale through the nose, you're opening your arms, you're looking up, chins up, you are having this like heart opening back bend. And then with the exhale, it can be through the nose and out or out the mouth. You're clenching your fist and you're breathing it in and rounding out that spine while you're breathing out. Inhale, opening that heart, and then exhale, closing. Breathing in, opening those arms, breathing out, closing. And then can self-lead, just can do it as vigorously as you like or as receptive and slow as you like. Mostly just feeling that awakening of the spine, awakening of the lungs, the opening of the chest and the rib cage, and then the closing. And here, I'd like you to visualize while you're breathing in and out, You're taking in the breath, you're taking in nourishment, you're opening your heart. And then as you exhale, you're allowing yourself to let it go. You're allowing yourself to just make the noise. You're allowing yourself to let yourself be heard. So taking a deep last inhale, last exhale, and one last big inhale, holding it, placing your hands back on your heart and womb, keep holding, swallowing your saliva, and then through a little pinhole in your mouth, exhale very slowly. And then we'll go into a round of physiological breathing, a little altered, where you take your inhale first through the stomach, first inhale through the stomach, and then another breath into the heart, and then exhale out. So 2 parts inhale, 1 part exhale, 1 into the belly, 1 into the heart, and then exhale. Keep going with this. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, belly, inhale, heart, exhale. Okay, doing one last round. And coming back, center. And we're going to go into the tapping. I'm going to do my best to explain these points and their location to you. The first one is right where the ear meets the head, this little tragus part, that little flap. It's going to be right in there. So when you open your mouth, mouth, you feel like a little cave that opens up. That is the point we want. And then the next point is going to be at the bridge of the eye, or the eyebrows, at the start of the eyebrows. And so we'll tap first the ears. So tapping that point, the ears, that little cave, you can even open your mouth, close your mouth, kind of stretch out your jaw here. And I want you to visualize feeling heard, being heard. I want you to visualize hearing things correctly with clarity. And then move to that eyebrow point. I want you to visualize seeing things correctly, seeing a situation with clarity, and then ultimately feeling seen. And then we do another round, just going back to that ear point. You can even say to yourself, I'm so heard, I'm understood, I see things,
So understood.
I hear things clearly. And as you wish, just going back and forth between these 2 points. And then let's move to that beautiful kidney pericardium connection that we're talking about. So if you imagine this bra line, you see the nipple line here, and then halfway between, where is hard on this, the midline and the nipple line, halfway in this kind of bra line, you'll feel just this general area kind of a divot in there. You're on the ribs, you're kind of not on the ribs. So that's the end of the kidney channel. And then kind of directly diagonally over from your nipple line. If you're breastfeeding mom like me, your nipples aren't probably where they should be. So just kind of imagine where you think that is and start tapping. So let's go back to this bra line, this rib cage, and just start tapping here. This is where this whole rib cage area is where most of the blocks occur, whether it's due to posture, whether it's due to the diaphragm being there, or the vagus nerve innervations, or bras, to be frank, for women. This is a really powerful point. So even if you just start pounding and tapping on the whole rib cage margin and this whole line, you will essentially be way closer to clearing your blocks than not. So start tapping here and imagining that your heart is open, that it has proper boundaries, and that ultimately you're safe. The kidneys rule fear. Their main emotion is fear and safety. So just reminding yourself here and now that you're safe. There's no immediate danger. And then going up to that pericardium, thanking the protector of the heart and trusting it to make proper decisions, that you have proper boundaries, and that it's safe to open your heart. And remembering to breathe, and going back and forth in these points. You're safe. You're safe to be in your heart. You're safe to open your heart. And you're safe to close it when it's appropriate. Okay. And then near that same point, underneath the nipple line, where there's like a jut in the rib cage here, right there. This is where actually primarily most of us get stuck, when we're not expressing ourselves, when we're not expressing our emotions, when we're not speaking our truth. This is where the liver channel ends. And the liver is like the main control system of all the emotions, but primarily anger. And so for especially women, we're not allowed to express our anger, and we don't even have a safe space to express our anger. So here, allow ourselves to just be real with our emotions and feel safe to express our emotions. And then where the shoulder meets kind of the collarbone, there's a little cave in there, and just right underneath that cave, underneath the collarbone, is the start of the lung channel. So start tapping that. Don't forget to breathe deeply. And the lungs is the first organ system that meets the outside world. It takes in the outside world, and it expresses ourselves with the outside world. So this is where you can imagine that you're safe to express yourself. You're allowed to express yourself. It's safe to have emotions. It's also the receptacle of grief. So I see this stuck with a lot of people processing grief or not processing grief. So allowing yourself, and you're in the safety of your own space. So if emotions come up, allow it and just see it as pure energy. Nothing that needs explanation or where is this coming from? Sometimes emotions just like to be let free. Okay. And then my favorite, right here in the same rib margin, is the end of the spleen channel, which meets right here in the armpit, like a superstar. that movie. You can put your arm. You can massage his point, or if you want, you can tap it as well. But I like to massage it, and you can massage any of these points, especially the ones on the chest. But this is a great point to allow yourself to be put back on your throne. So I see this a lot with people who are not empowered, women who are not empowered. They are not taking control of their own life. They're not expressing the confidence that they need in their life. They're not, because all of us are the emperors and the empresses of our own life, and especially our own body system. So you can keep tapping the end of the spleen channel and into the heart here. Just allowing yourself to be on your throne. No one's going to do it for you. Do it for yourself. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do a little bit of that fascial opening. So I like to kind of envision this just like a dance or something, like I call it a mudra mapping, but just energetically, like see your heart, see your lungs, see yourself like coming out into the world, pushing out, having these proper boundaries, pushing out with the palms out, even kind of leading with that middle finger and pushing out, elbows down and back, seeing your heart opening. You might even have a little adjustment like I just did in my neck. And then you can place one hand on the back and then just kind of lean towards that arm that's placed on your back. This stretch helps stretch out the rib margins, that liver. You can even, if you have space behind you, brace yourself behind you and really push up with that elbow and that palm so you feel it back here, stretching out this whole liver, gallbladder, rib cage that we get so stuck in. So let's switch sides. You can switch sides here. Really twisting, wringing yourself out, as they like to say in yoga. And then placing your hand on your forehead, one on the back bulge of your head, and just allowing yourself to come back to your breath. To come back to your body, integrating these powerful energies, which is all your energies just coming back to you. So you can even tell yourself, I call my energy back. I call my power back to myself.
Call my power.
And remembering that it's safe, you're safe. It's safe to be seen. It's safe to be heard. It's safe to speak. It's safe to emote. It's safe to open your heart. And then checking in with that breath. You can place your hands down or back onto your heart and womb. And then checking back in with your deep breathing, feeling that chest of yours. See if you notice any differences now. Do you feel more open? Do you feel more flow? Do you feel calmer? Is your breath a little deeper?
Oh yeah, I definitely felt constriction in my chest when we started, and it's not there at all now.
Yeah. And then let's check in with the head too. Like check in with that space behind the eyes and the space around the ears and your head in general. Does it feel more spacious?
Mm.
Does it feel a little more clear?
I instantly noticed, and I didn't notice this the first time, crystals in both of those points, like crystals behind my eyes and crystals in the ear cave.
Oh my gosh. There are crystals in the head, and there
Oh,
are crystals in the ears. Yeah, there's a whole thing. If there's crystals are loose, you have to like do this weird thing in your head to get them back
right.
into place. Which is so funny because I thought about why I called it the crystal keys, and I've been fascinated with crystals for over a decade now. And my understanding of them, what makes a crystal is that the molecular structure of a crystal is uniform throughout, and that's what makes it a crystal. So with the crystal keys, we're bringing back our body's intelligence and alignment back to its original blueprint of how it's supposed to be. Like if you imagine behind you that beautiful flower of life, where like usually like our aura is all scattered this way and this way, but like with the keys and the tapping and the stretching, and we're placing ourselves back into this beautiful crystal alignment. So I
Yeah.
love that you saw those crystals.
Me too. I especially now that you've shared more of a scientific and quantum explanation behind it, because it was just very intuitive, just like a flash, and it was there, and I experienced it. I also just want to share the vocabulary as you were taking us through the different points illuminated so many things for me. I know that our audience had to have had so many amazing downloads as you were experiencing
Hmm.
that. I love when you talked about the lungs being the first point of meeting the outside world and the first point of processing that as we're bringing it in. That was really powerful for me.
Hmm.
I also noticed like I was sore right here, getting back on my
Hmm.
seat of power, and I do quite a bit of tai chi, qigong, and some tapping when I'm doing those different movements. And I've had teachers before that have talked about if it's sore, keep going, keep
Hmm.
tapping in that place. You want to notice that your body is asking for attention there and not back off just because it's somewhat uncomfortable, but to keep moving.
Hmm.
And I definitely felt it here, and I felt it shift as well.
Hmm.
As comfortable as it was, I thought, all right, just stay with it, stay with the breath, allow the medicine to work. And I felt it shift, which was really beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great point and reminder. So if you feel, especially in these lung points too, the liver point, the kidney points, like just go into it and really like, you know, I mean, after this, I mean, you can always message me and stuff, and I can tell you too, like if your lung, if your heart, whatever point is sensitive, then we can talk more about what that means, because there's an obvious a correlation to something deeper behind it as well.
Yes. Thank you for that invitation for everyone out there. Reach out to Grace if you have questions, if you notice parts that were sore along the way. I do want to ask you a quick question though before we wrap up, because I'm really excited for those of you who will reach out to Grace, because you're going to get extra special hand holding along the way. But for those who don't decide to reach out and they're just going about the rest of their day, give us some ideas of what to look for and how to know that this is working so that we can connect the dots and
Hmm.
then, have that moment of, oh yeah, this is the crystal key tapping work that I did with Grace is why I feel XYZ. So what should we be on the lookout for that gets to be different now?
I love that question. Well, some instances where you're a lot more patient in certain circumstances, like if you're a mom and then you have this situation that normally is very like, you usually respond a certain way, and that can go in any situation too. If you normally have a certain way you usually respond to, but you notice like maybe you notice, oh, I kind of responded to that situation differently. That's new. Um, Also, even like physical sensations, like I'll do this tapping protocol, I'll lay down to go to sleep, and then my whole spine will crack. Like that's a symptom of unblocking these channels. And also, if you feel a little bit more emotional, because so many
Mhm.
of us go around pushing these emotions down, which creates these blocks. And so if that arises, like it can very much well be these, you're releasing, who knows how long it's been in there for.
Right.
And or if you, I mean, I'm getting that if you feel like you need to reach out to someone, have a conversation that's been hard for you, and you feel a little more motivation and energy to complete the task or have that conversation, then go for it, because that's where your unstuck energy is leading you to.
I think you're on to something there. I mean, all of it obviously resonates really deeply with me, but I noticed because you said, "Oh, I'm getting right now if you have a conversation that you need to have that you've been putting off." My whole body just went. So this is for a lot of us out there. Thank you for saying what you're feeling in the field right now. I think it's applicable for a lot of us. It's so good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Grace.
Yeah. And if you feel blocked in like doing something off your task list or something that's been very challenging for you, watch this replay, do this protocol, and then see how you feel about that certain situation again. Because the block is where you're blocked, The block is where you're blocked. So
Yeah. Brilliant mic drop for wrapping up the show. Everyone, let's send some love likes hearts across the screen. Give it up for
oh,
Grace Van
thank
Bodhi.
you.
I know that this was incredibly powerful. What a blessing and gift to my entire audience here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, you're so
And
welcome.
just let
Thank you.
everybody know one more time how do you want them to reach out to you? Do you want them to check out a website? You can give any information you want, and feel free to plug things in the comments too after the show.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, it's very simple because I've been a clinician for not so long, but because I've been a clinician, most of my online presence is not that existent, or my website is for my clinic. So very easily just PM me or DM me, message me if you want to take advantage of my gift to you guys, which would be a 30-minute call to see how you can implement the crystal keys in your life and what kind of metaphysical um blocks that you have around these, and we can go into that. And then who knows, we'll see if we resonate. You want to work deeper with me in a 6-month container. I primarily work with women, and there's no reason why all areas of your life working with me wouldn't upgrade because of everything I've created in it that I've experienced. And then, if you want to just keep in touch, I have a women's moon mapping circle. If you want to learn about why you need to keep just follow your own cycle as a woman, and how that empowers you to live your fullest life and in a safe container with other like-minded women, that will be in March. So just DM me, and then I'm very easy to talk to, so I'm not scary. I won't.
That's not life changing. And I just love you so much. I love and appreciate the friendship that we've cultivated,
Yeah,
and
me
the
too.
power, that you have as a medicine woman and wisdom keeper. You're one of my favorites here on the planet. So
Yeah,
thank you
you
for
are
having
as
me.
well. Thanks so much for having me, and yeah, I just appreciate you and all that you do and all your beautiful magnificence. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. All right, everybody, take advantage of that 30-minute call, and we will see you back here at the Akashic Academy really soon. Bye-bye.